Hey guys, welcome to my loot from 100 Helwyr kills, and this is the last God Wars 2 video for the bosses, and if you're unaware, this is the Saren boss. Now again, I suck at pronunciation, so I honestly don't know if it's Helwyr, Helwyr, or Hellfuck like I said in the last video, so I'll probably use them interchangeably throughout the video, so if you just hear me say Hellfuck, don't be super surprised. But yeah, early on in this loot video, I really did not enjoy it at all. Like the first 15-20 kills, I was like really getting frustrated because I just was not correctly blocking the special attacks, and I was just not doing anything correctly. But after trying it for a while, I got pretty consistent. This boss is extremely predictable, and it's very doable if you learn the mechanics. So before we go into the loot, I do want to have a quick rundown of the boss's special attacks and what to do, just in case anyone needs some tips. So as for the gear that I was using, in the beginning I tried out magic, because my buddy said magic was good, and I really didn't enjoy it, so I switched over to the melee scythe setup. Drygors are pretty much the same here. I just am using scythe because I prefer it. Okay, for the special attacks, it's in a very predictable order. I'm just going to say the order, and then I'll go into more detail of what each attack is. So at the start of the fight, it'll do its nature attack with the poison mushrooms, then 3 auto attacks, and then the bleed cleave attack, and then 3 auto attacks again, and then it will do its enrage attack, and then another 3 auto attacks, then it'll summon the wolves, and then it repeats. And another thing that you need to know about this rotation of attacks that he has, the wolf summoning attack is not always constant. Sometimes he'll change it to the bleed cleave attack eventually, and he'll just start using that instead, so you gotta be very careful. So let's go through each of the special attacks one by one. Now the mushroom attack is easily avoidable. When he does the attack, it'll just make 3 of the mushrooms around you poisonous, and then you just need to get away from those mushrooms. Surge or escape is really useful if you're like in the midst of them. And then for the cleave attack, what you do is you switch to a shield, use a resonance ability, and that will block the attack, but it will not block the bleed that he puts on you. You can also turn off your prey melee when you do that. That way you can resonance a lot more back. As for the bleed, what I do is you can get rid of the bleed right there, but I usually wait until after the enrage attack that comes up in 3 auto attacks. The enrage attack is where he just runs around for like 10 seconds, and you can just use devotion or debilitate and block most of that damage while praying melee. That attack will increase the bleed damage that you're taking, and I'm pretty sure it also resets the bleed, so I usually use my freedom after that instead of after the cleave. But if you do this boss enough, you'll probably find a way of doing things that suits you. And then the wolf attack you can basically ignore. They're not super important. If you have a scythe, you'll get rid of them anyway. And that's essentially it for the Helwyr boss. So yeah, I'm sorry I spent too much time talking about how to kill the boss. But as for the loot, it can drop the dormant armor pieces like any of the other bosses. And then it also drops the seals, and I got about 150, which means that that's like 750 reputation for the other factions. Probably will be using them on Vindicta. For its like rare drop, it has a wand, and it's a one-handed weapon that has tier 80 damage and tier 90 accuracy. So it's like a good in-between between Seismics and Virtus wands. And then it also has the Crest of Saren, which is used to make the armor pieces for the Saren armor set. And that is the most expensive piece, unless the wand is like really high street. I didn't get either of those drops, so I don't really know the price. But I did end up with a helm drop, which is like 100k, not super important. And then I also got an essence drop later in the kills as well, which is nice. So yeah, that's pretty much the loot video. Let's go and see what I got. Alright, so here's the loot for Helwyr. And like I talked about earlier, I got the helm and the essence drop. Now, these 2 items aren't really super expensive or anything, but it'll add a little bit to the entire price check. And then as for the regular drops, like the other God Wars, you get rune ore, rune bars, coal, diamonds, all that fun stuff. The drops for all the God Wars 2 bosses are virtually the same, but they do have minor differences. For example, Helwyr drops grimy lantodimes and the crystal keys. The grimy lantodimes are what you want, because when you get them, you get like 80 to 100, which is a lot of money. And I ended up having 1,400, which is most of the money from Helwyr. Now, seeing as this is the last of the 100 kills for each of the God Wars 2 bosses, I can compare the loot to the other videos, and I do want to say that If you exclude the rare items, I would say that Helwyr is probably one of the best common drops, pretty close to Vindicta, and I would say Twin Furies are probably the worst for common drops. But it really just depends on the market at the time, because there's really minor differences between the drop tables. But either way, let's see how much this is worth. And it looks like it's 16.4 mil. And I don't know if the helm or the essence will sell for that price, so it might be lower. But it does look like coal and lantadimes and other items are going back up from when they were crashing. Definitely a good sign, considering I'll be doing these bosses a lot more in the future. Anyway, I'll be right back when everything's sold. Okay, everything's sold, and I ended up with 15.9 mil, which means it was less than my price check. And the main reason for that is the Ceramic Essence was not 900k, it was actually 500k. So that's where most of the margin is coming from. But yeah, let's just round up to 16 mil for math purposes, because I'm a lazy fuck. And if I didn't already mention, this video took 4 hours to complete. I was getting like a solid 25 kills per hour. This boss was pretty consistent. So that means I made roughly 4 mil an hour, and I wasn't like extremely lucky like my other loot videos like Gregorovich. I was really lucky on that one. So 4 mil an hour, like consistent, I am down with that. I am excited for when I go for more kills in the future to get those pets. And considering this is the last God of Wars 2 loot video that I will be doing for a little while until I get to the 1,000 kill marks, I can actually compare them with some basis. And I will say right now, out of the 4, my favorite by far was Gregorovich. I just really love the mechanics of that boss. And then for sheer like easy mode, the Twin Furies were definitely the easiest. And then Helwyr was the most frustrating at the beginning, but I got used to it. So essentially, Gregorovich is all-time favorite for God of Wars 2. And then I would say maybe a close second would be Helwyr. I really liked Helwyr towards the end. I hope you guys enjoyed the series of me doing the God of Wars 2 loot videos. We can now move on to a different content, but remember, I will be doing all of the bosses still for the pets, and then I will be chronicling all that in my pet series. I can't wait for that. It's going to be pretty intense. But either way, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.